It always starts with a very nice morning. You wake up, you feel good, and you think, today is going to be a normal day, nothing surprising, nothing crazy. And then, you log into Ragnarok Mobile. And suddenly, not one, but two new P2W items are waiting for you. Yeah, classic ROM moment. Hey guys, this is Noya Jr. And today we're going to talk about the latest update. The Spring Spin Gacha and also the new Card Gacha, especially for support builds. But for this part, let's focus first on the Spring Spin Gacha. So what exactly is this gacha? Basically, this is a resource type gacha, but with some high value rewards inside. There are three main things that most players are aiming for. First is the limited mount. This one is usually the main target because it gives either movement speed or deposit stats, which can improve your overall account progression. Second is the job select card, which is always good to sell for Zani or Depot. And third is the dragon deeds, which are used to unlock inheritance skills, something that becomes more and more important in late game progression. Other than these main rewards, you also get prey cards, upgrade materials, and rainbow coins. These rainbow coins are quite important because you can use them to exchange for alien MVP cards, especially the Alien Fallen Angel Ring card for this time. And honestly, that card alone is already very valuable. It gives strong resistance to abnormal status, which makes it useful for almost every build. Now let's talk about the strategy. For me personally, I don't try to chase everything. My main target is very simple, the mount. Why? Because mounts like this are usually limited, and once the event ends, you might not see them again for a very long time. So the strategy I use is what I call the 6-6-6 method. Basically, I roll in batches 6, 6, and 6 until the mount reward actually appears in the reward pool. Once I see the mount is available, I immediately switch to Safe Spin Gacha to secure it. Using this method, from my experience, it usually costs around 1,000 to 1,250 BCC to get the first major reward, which is the mount. Now, if you're not aiming for the mount and you only want resources, then you can play it differently. You can still use the 666 pulls, collect all the rewards until they start converting into Sini, and then just stop there. In terms of value, I would say this gacha is actually not that bad compared to other gachas in ROM. The amount of resources you get for the BCC spent is still considered quite efficient, especially if you manage it properly. And of course, if you don't want to spend at all, you still get 3 free daily pulls, which is honestly a nice bonus. Over time, you can still accumulate some rewards without spending anything, so pay attention. If you go all in blindly, it can be expensive. But if you use the right strategy, it can actually give you good value for your BCC. Try it yourself and you'll understand what I mean. Now let's move on to the second update, the Card Gacha. This time, the focus is clearly on support builds, not DPS, and honestly, that's actually a good thing. The main highlight here is the new Alien Osiris Card. So what does it do? First, it gives around 8% HP, which is already solid for survivability. Then, it has a chance to auto-resurrect when you die. And after you get resurrected, you gain resistance to abnormal status and forced control effects for 15 seconds. Now this part is actually very interesting, because if you combine this with something like the Sea Totem Card, which gives you around 50% shield after resurrection, you suddenly become extremely hard to kill. You revive, you get a shield, you gain status resistance, and you can reposition or continue supporting your team. So in terms of utility and survivability, this card is actually quite strong. It doesn't give damage, it doesn't boost DPS, but it gives something equally important for support players: consistency and survivability in chaotic fights, especially in PvP. But here's the question: if we compare this to other cards that give pure damage reduction, is this actually better? Because sometimes preventing death is more valuable, but sometimes just reducing damage consistently is more reliable. So I think this really depends on your playstyle. If you are a support player who often gets targeted, caught, or burst down, this card can be very useful. But if your positioning is already good and you prefer stable mitigation, then maybe other damage reduction cards are still better. So I'd like to hear from you guys, especially support players. Do you think this card is worth chasing, or is it just a situational upgrade? As for the other cards in this gacha, honestly, I don't think you need to chase them. Most of them you can eventually get from the exchange, so there's no need to force it. So yeah, that's pretty much the current update for this newest patch. And as always, before we end, I've been thinking about something. There's actually a growing issue with stat balancing in ROM right now, especially with how different systems keep stacking on top of each other. So in the next video, I'm going to share some ideas on how the dev could potentially balance the current stat system, and maybe improve the overall gameplay experience. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one.